It's The Journey with drug and alcohol attorney Mark G. Astor.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of The Journey. Welcome back. Don't forget to, like us, subscribe to us, and follow us on all the different social media platforms that we're now on or working to get on. I'm super excited to have a good friend and someone who's become a very important part of the work that we do, Evan Jarschauer. Did I pronounce that right? I always get your name wrong, Evan.
Exactly, like a Jarschauer.
Okay, Jarschauer, okay.
Jarschauer.
Well, so there's a lot of the things that are very cool about Evan. One of the things is if you Google his name, you'll find out he actually did the intervention for Kim Kardashian.
I did.
He did, yeah. So he's pretty famous. But more than that, we've actually been using Evan on a number of cases we worked, and we're super excited. He's a clinician, licensed mental health counselor, and I mean, I'll let you give your resume, but
yeah, sure.
he's and we're very happy to have him because he travels pretty much all over the place internationally as well. And so I think how many times do you get to sleep in your own bed a month? Not very often, right?
Fewer and fewer. Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you're good at your job.
Yeah, and the need is out there. So, but yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on the road. That's for sure.
So like, what's your official title? Like interventionist?
Yeah. So my title has actually evolved into professional dual diagnosis interventionist, meaning that the interventions that I perform focus in on somebody that has both a mental health issue as well as a substance abuse issue. And oftentimes is the case, it's an underlying substance abuse issue where the mental health is a primary driving component of the problem, and oftentimes, and more than not, the individual or the identified patient is self-medicating with mood-altering substances to cope with whatever symptoms they're experiencing.
So how long have you been doing this? It's kind of what?
Yeah, so professionally, because I feel like this is what I'm doing now is like the culmination of a lifetime of dealing with my own issues and twists and turns in life, but I know what you mean. You mean like professionally, like I get it. So I've been a licensed counselor for approximately 20 years, been specializing in intervention work for about the last 15 of the last 20. So about 15 years in the field like this. Well,
so over the years, how many interventions do you think you've done?
Yeah, so I get that question, but I usually get the question in terms of it's worded like this. So what's your success rate? I usually get that question. But if you want a general estimate, we might be somewhere in the range of maybe 700 cases, 750 cases that I've worked on over the years, approximately, give or take, plus or minus.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
So you know why I don't ask the success rate? Because sometimes clients will say to us, well, how often are you successful in getting somebody into treatment? Well, most of the time, but obviously that doesn't mean I'm going to be successful in their case. And obviously, at least from my perspective, there's getting somebody into treatment, getting them into recovery, and then them having a long-term outcome, which is totally different.
You're right.
And that really depends. So, I mean, as long as we've been tracking it, yeah, pretty good. Do we lose somebody every once in a while? Absolutely. That's the nature of the beast.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because, one of the ways that I answer that question is kind of like with the family, and the family meaning friends, family, employers, whoever's part of our intervention process, with everyone sticking together and following some basic ground rules for establishing healthy boundaries and following through with those boundaries, oftentimes, the majority of times, the bulk of times, we have the person in treatment. With that said, that when you look at the people that enter treatment meaning substance abuse or mental health or both, who come through an intervention, oftentimes the rates of recovery kind of forward thinking where you were at and what does success really mean when it comes to recovery, oftentimes is the case when people come into treatment through a intervention, you see the rates of recovery exponentially greater because there's a more of a solid foundation for recovery with a more unified approach with everybody that surrounds that person coming together and supporting that individual through their recovery. How did I do with that answer?
That was really good.
Thanks.
I like that.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to send you to law school.
No.
No, don't go to law
I'm
school?
good. I'm good with what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your training because, I don't know, there's a sort of a perception sort of in the field that, it doesn't take that much to become an interventionist, and there are some people that I meet that have done, hundreds of hours of training, and then I meet people who have done like a 12-hour course online, and they're like, oh, I'm an interventionist.
Absolutely.
So,
well, yeah. So, I get that question too, credentials, and here's what I can say: that so much of me connecting with the families and connecting with the individual in crisis really comes from my own introspection into my own stuff, my own issues. And I think that coupled with years of training, ongoing counseling, ongoing in-services, connecting with the community in recovery, mental health, substance abuse, I think that it's really about having the most well-rounded person to do the job, who they themselves have some of those issues, some of those underlying problems that then enables them to connect with everybody involved in the process. So I think that it's great to have a training, and I'm not knocking people that go into those trainings, people that are in the field that have their own training services and all that. That's wonderful. But I think that it's also very important to have somebody that is field tested, that truly has demonstrated longevity in the field, and has been able to go into the fire and literally come out with the person in crisis and do it in the most dignified, respectful way possible, so that everybody involved feels good about it, and you don't have a situation where people are looking back going, oh my God, we're more torn up than we ever were. So yeah, I think it really takes somebody who has the experience, but also has their own personal stuff that they're willing to bring in, and that's part of the reason why I'm okay with this, because I think it's very healthy for people that are out there looking for someone to conduct an intervention to have a better feeling and understanding of the person that's coming out to help them, their weaknesses, their strengths, their tweaks, their twerks, and all that other good stuff.
So I know you're a master's level clinician, right? So is it MCAP, right, which is a master certified addictions profession? Did I get that right?
Yeah. So right.
And you're also a licensed mental health counselor. So
I am. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. That's my licensure, and I'm a master certified addiction professional, which is an MCAP. But those are the two basic. Like certifications, licensures that I have. That enable me to actually be a counselor in the field as well. So yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that when we met that we just really liked was the fact that, we always sort of pride ourselves on the fact that we can, do a Marchman Act or a guardianship quicker than anybody else.
Right.
But, even as quick as I could do a Marchman Act, that doesn't always, there can be anywhere, if it's the same day, I could do 4 to 6 hours, but it can be overnight. And one of the things we learned about when we met with you was that you, as a licensed mental health counselor, you can go to the scene and actually initiate a Baker Act, which means if we get a call where somebody is in imminent danger while we do our thing in the courtroom, you can literally go to the scene and initiate a Baker Act, which means it's up to a 72-hour hold, which for us has been phenomenal. It's just the missing piece for us.
Yeah, and it's a very now just keep this in mind. I want this to be real clear here with everybody listening.
Yep.
That it is a very delicate statute, very delicate rule, very delicate part of my licensure that I don't take for granted. I don't look at having somebody's civil rights removed as a something where it's like you do it because it just feels right. The standard is that if a person is in jeopardy of harming themselves, imminent danger of harming themselves or others, that an involuntary hospitalization assessment can be put in place. So when I'm called into a case, I definitely am able to look at the situation on the ground, and if it appears to meet that standard, yeah, I can go ahead and initiate that process. And working with like-minded legal professionals like yourself, it's kind of like you've got, I grew up, I know you grew up, where'd you grow up?
England.
England, right. I don't know if you had Sesame Street in England. You had probably.
I did.
You did?
Oh, yeah, but I also used to get Z confirmed, because we call it Z, and they would say Z, and I'm like, no, it's Z. And then I'm like, yeah, this is an American thing. They're going to say Z.
Well, when I was growing up and we had Sesame Street, right? Z, I get it. Like lift, it's elevator, right? But you call
Yeah, but
it
Big Bird's Big Bird. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
The
right.
Cookie Monster was the Cookie Monster. I mean, we're good with that.
So there was this one episode, right? Exactly. But there was this one episode where you've got this alien trying to get a nectarine from a tree, right? So one of the aliens, I believe this was the scenario. One of the aliens had an arm, but the other one didn't have arms. But but he had legs. So the alien with the legs put the alien with the with the arm on top of him, and he was able to get the nectarine. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you put the mental health side with the legal side, and you find a way to work together in a very symbiotic way, where you're doing right for the individual in crisis, it is an amazing. It's an amazing unity, bringing together of two very powerful resources that I think in this case with us is really able to make some amazing things happen, whereas it would never happen if the person was just hope that the system would just work, hope that you would have the opportunity to go to court and do your thing, which you do wonderfully. But by the time, unfortunately, you might be able to do all of your wonderful legal work, you come back, the question is where's the individual?
Sometimes, right. That's the problem.
And so this is where, in a very carefully, methodically, strategically loving, organized strategy, we not only are able to secure the individual, but working together with like-minded legal professionals like yourself, we get them secured, and then we have the power to then get them into a program to significantly increase the outcome for their long-term recovery.
Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, we've worked some of these cases where we call you and say, Evan, we got an imminent situation. You go to the scene, wherever it might be. Tell us what that might look like.
Yeah, so I will first meet with the family, get them organized with what we're going to say, what we're going to do, already knowing that when I walk into the situation, it could be very, very, I'm trying to think of the right word.
Volatile?
Volatile is a great word. Yeah, volatile, just out of control, chaotic. And what I try to do is it's kind of like therapeutic basic training for the families. I get them ready so that when we walk into the situation, we've already mapped out exactly how this is going to transfer from the chaos into an organized, loving process of their loved one actually embracing the concept of recovery, even though they can't see it at that moment. So I walk in, family's prepared, and I try my best to join that individual right away in their moment. Here's how it looks. So the person looks over at their father or mother and says, that beast, that animal, that's the reason that I'm in this position. Okay? And sometimes they'll then show me the insects that are starting to come out of their hands or their open wounds on their body. And they might start breaking things. And they might start discussing how the wiring in the home is all connected to a metal box that goes right to, and I'm not even going to say the building in Washington because then it's going to set off alarms. I'm just saying that they'll say that there are wires that go directly to a metal box someplace in Washington, a governmental building, which is part of a conspiracy where the mother and the father are working together and all that other stuff. So what I don't do is I don't humor anybody, and I don't sit there and go, yes, I see it too. But what I do is I join them in the experience of feeling as though you're being monitored and having insects boring through your skin must be a horrible experience, right? And almost always the individual will say, yes. They will then look over at their mother or their father who they are reporting that they hate, and they will say, you see, he gets it. And then at that moment, we've kind of broken the proverbial therapeutic ice without me saying that, yes, there are bugs, or yes, the government's involved, but letting them know that helping them understand. I understand there's a problem.
So you think that helps to make a sort of a trust connection?
Absolutely, it's critical, because at the end of the day, they may end up getting hospitalized, and they may get hospitalized as a result of me being mandated to hospitalize them, but doing it in a way where this was about making sure that whoever was coming after you, or whatever was coming after you, whether it was inside you or from outside, that you would agree that you could no longer live like that anymore, and therefore action needed to be taken to help secure you and begin the process of you getting the help that you needed. So yeah, it's about first establishing that rapport, and then in doing that, it's then working with the family, with the attorney, with the programs to help facilitate a transition into a organized plan for long-term recovery, mental health and substance abuse.
So when you're there and you decide that a Baker Act is necessary to be initiated,
Sure.
How does that work? What do you call 911? You say hi.
Yeah. So the simple answer is yes. You're calling 911 and you're advising them that we have somebody here who is actively psychotic, presenting as a danger to themselves or others. We need law enforcement now. I will share this with you because I think that from my experience in the work that I've done, it seems like the more that I give, the more that I get. So I don't have a problem giving, and I think this is a real important point for anyone that is listening to your podcast. And when you make a call from this point forward, always let the 911 operator know that you are making a mental health call, that you're explain exactly how your loved one is presenting, and definitely ask if force needs to be used, if non-lethal force could be used if they had to use some form of force, non-life-threatening if possible. You want to give a heads up to the first responders, especially if they have a history of violence, that look, they may be violent, but they're also mentally ill. So please come and please do your best if you have to do something to use non-lethal force. So I just want to share that with your listeners because all the time you turn on the TV, you turn on the news, and you always see a mentally ill person getting shot or killed. And I think it would be incumbent upon families to really try to educate when you call that please, if possible, bring anything you've got that's non-lethal in nature.
It's interesting you say that because I've been reading more and more that a lot of the police departments now are training their officers how to deal with a situation where you have somebody who's mentally ill, so they don't go straight to lethal force when somebody becomes violent. And
yeah.
So,
oh no, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure they don't want to take a life, but sometimes you have somebody charging at you.
Especially if they're armed with a knife or some type of weapon.
I get it. You have a split second to make a decision, and that's why, from what I've seen, the police forces that I've worked with all over the country, the law enforcement departments, the ones that take the time to kind of plan out how they're going to do this, amazing outcomes have happened. So yeah, the answer is yeah. I love the fact that they're training more and more police and law enforcement and sheriff's offices to recognize that when it's a mental health issue, how to de-escalate the situation, and if force needs to be taken, do it in a way where it's a non-lethal.
So how many different states can you initiate some type of involuntary commitment?
Yeah. So, I'm able to. I work in many states. Interesting enough, the state of Florida is one of the best states for actual statutes that provide for substance abuse and mental health involuntary hospitalization rules. A lot of states don't really have as strong of a system as the state of Florida does. But Florida would be that state where I'm able to actually write the order myself. When I'm working in other areas, I'm definitely working with other professionals that may have the ability to initiate that process. And oftentimes is the case, I'm working with attorneys or families that are actually going to the courts themselves to initiate that process on an emergency basis.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great stuff. And I mean, I know we love working with you. I mean, it's been a really important piece for us, and I know that we're going to get more of these cases, and I know we're going to be working a lot more with you. So don't make too many plans to leave town, because keep you local.
Absolutely. No, I totally get it. I mean, for me, in all the years I've been doing this, it's just been very. It's not that I never wanted to connect with a lawyer that would be in this genre or section of law or whatever. It's just that it seemed as though there just wasn't that. That connection just didn't happen. So for sure, when you take clinical and legal, you put it together, what that means for families out there that have a loved one in crisis, it means that the outcomes, the potential outcomes for their loved ones, from my experience, will increase exponentially. The potential outcomes, the success rates. And how you define success? Well, one of the best ways to look at outcomes of success for people with mental health issues is the fewer and fewer rates of hospitalization. So you might have somebody who's been hospitalized 4 times in the last 6 months. After an intervention, and you're also including some type of a guardianship or some other legal component to the care, you may see none. You may see compliance, because the person understands there is a legal component and a clinical component put together.
That's great stuff.
That's my way of saying if I got to go to California, I'm going to go to California. But, I get it.
Talking to California,
sure.
So it's no secret you did the Kim Kardashian intervention, because it's on YouTube, so I don't think it's, and obviously we don't want to talk about anything that happened sort of off the camera, but truthfully, I didn't realize it was even until we saw the video that there was an issue with her. Yeah.
So there's been one of the things, one thing we were talking about before was that there are a lot of people that are that call themselves interventionists. There's some really great interventionists that don't have any licenses, don't have any certifications, but they've been helping people for years. And I admire those people, okay? I will say, though, when it starts to get into more of a mental health component, a dual diagnosis level of intervention, yeah, you might need somebody with more of a clinical background to help maneuver through the system, as well as be able to join and understand the clinical components of someone's care. But I will say this. Now I know where it's going with that. So with that, as a licensed counselor, there is, where I can't really discuss other cases. And I'll get to the Kardashian thing in a minute. But there's been moments where I'm in a room and there are people there that are like Grammy winners and people that, Academy Award people and industrialists that are like, we're talking, on barons and all that stuff. And there's moments where I'm like, gosh, I just wish. But I understand. But I also am talking to these people because, when this person has a child or a son or a daughter or a wife, that's, even though I'm coming from a professional standpoint, I'm also looking at it as if, this is my family, and I wouldn't want the whole world knowing my business. And I get it, and I respect that privacy from an ethical standpoint, and also from a personal standpoint. But there are those moments where I just want to go, is this like real? And these people, oh my God, this is a hero. I'm sitting next to a hero of mine, like a personal hero. But I've got to be professional. I've got to keep it together, and I've got to stay focused. And I can't just go, Kate, would you talk to my mom? I can't do that. But getting back to the, so now I'm used to it. Now I'm cool with it. In the beginning, you're like, when you first have those moments, you're like, whoa. But,
so you're like the interventionist to the stars.
Well, I've worked with a lot of people that are pretty well, there's people out there that I've worked with that have a lot of fame or resources or name. But though I can talk about the Kardashian, and by the way, they were great people, and they were very welcoming, and they were very understanding. And back in that time, interesting enough, it probably was a lot less kind of, even though it's an unscripted show, it's probably very unscripted at that point, because when I got the call.
So this was this the Keeping Up with the Kardashians show?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I got the call, I went out to. They said to me, "Can you come out to?"
So was it like an age? How did that still come together? They must have heard of you.
Well, yeah. So, I've been doing this a long time. So I've worked with a lot of really good people. And one of the people that I had been working with had suggested that one of the producers, hey, why don't you give him a call? And that's how it kind of happened. So I know a lot of people. And I have major, major respect and appreciation for the person that, I'm not going to name that person.
Of course.
But the person that made that happen. So, and that person knows who they are, and it's very appreciated for what they did. So with that, I got a call and they said, can you come out and we just want to do a quick check you out and then probably next week have you come out. Now, I don't think they realized that I was in Boca Raton, Florida. And by the way, I wasn't going to tell them because I just didn't want any issues about, well, you're in where? Well, so I was like, sure. So I took my frequent flyer points, miles, whatever, and I flew out. I did a quick read-through up there with the producers in Burbank.
Were you nervous?
Not really. Just like I'm not nervous now. Even though I was asked, but I'm not.
Well, because it's interesting because, I just did a couple live TV things with Channel 5. Mm-hmm. And the first time I did it, a friend of mine who is in the industry, I said, what did you think? He said, well, if you'd have taken the rod out of your ass, you'd have looked fine.
Right.
So he said, next time around, be more relaxed. And so the next time I did it, I was really relaxed. But, you never forget, right? I mean, you're on live TV. You can't screw it up. The whole world sees it.
Well, so, like, when I have, right. So for me, one of the things that's missing in my DNA is the fear piece. I'm afraid of heights.
Me too.
But I'm not afraid of getting out there and doing what I do because I truly do feel, and, I'm very fortunate that I'm doing something that I know has the potential to help a lot of people. And not everybody can do this. Not everybody can walk into DEFCON 4, out of control, psychotic episodes, and people throwing urine and spitting and calling their mother this and pulling out a knife there and doing this and go, okay. Looking over at the mother and saying, you got any fresh cookies? Because it's going to take a while. And a glass of milk. And that same individual who's out of control goes, what did you just say? I asked your mother, and by the way, I educate the families in advance that I'm going to do this.
Okay.
So I don't just surprise them, I'm going to ask for cookies. But I asked the mom, I said, Mom, can I have some cookies and some milk? And she's like, sure, Evan. And part of that has to do with really helping that individual understand that I'm there with them and that I'm not freaked out. Even though I may be a little freaked out, I'm not going to demonstrate that I'm freaked out. I'm cool with it. We can't let this nightmare continue. But I'm going to have my cookies. I'm going to have my milk. And then we're going to get you some help. Or we're going to get you help first. But either way, I'm going to take a bite of those delicious cookies. So for me, I don't have that fear piece. So when it comes to doing something like this, they called me out there. And then they said, okay, you got it. Can you come back next week? I said, sure. Like nothing. Like it was around the corner.
How long did that bit take? How long were you reading for?
I was there for the first time, maybe for about an hour. And then I came back and I was there for about 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 3 hours of. And so I got to their home in Calabasas. And I was hooked up with all these things. And they told me right then and there that Kim has a compulsive behavior where she's shopping as a means by which to cope with anxiety. And probably now, at this point in her life, she's probably got enough resources where it doesn't really matter. But back then, they were just starting to accumulate wealth. And so it was a concern it was a concern.
So I want to know, because I seen the video, and it's on YouTube. So is this the mom's house?
It was the family. At that point, it was the family's home.
So you go in there, and so before Kim gets there,
I was talking to Bruce outside.
You were?
No.
So was he cool?
He was very, very cool. Very like, hey, what's going on? I'm just here to do my intervention thing. Well, he said, we really appreciate you coming. I said, no problem. I'm just glad to do what I do. What was also interesting was as we were standing out there, Chris is there. And Chris is talking
This
to
is the mom, right?
the mom. And I don't remember how it came up. But this was the part where I was like, and I think I could share this because it's okay. And they started talking about OJ.
Oh, God.
And that's the moment that I'm sitting there going, this is pretty darn cool, interesting. You know, that was one of those interesting moments where they were, I can't remember what they were talking about. I just remember because they knew them,
Right.
right? They knew the whole, right? Because the dad was the lawyer. And they were talking about it, and I just remember Bruce saying something like, yeah, it was terrible. It's terrible what happened. Anyway, but there was that little moment like, wow. But anyway.
Right, he was the DNA lawyer, Kardashian.
The father was the DNA lawyer. They
Yep.
died of esophageal, I can't pronounce
He
it.
had
but
cancer.
Fat cancer from the
Yeah,
esophagus.
right.
Anyway, but yeah, the family was incredible. They were very nice, very receptive, very open. And we sat down with the family. And,
Now, meanwhile, the cameras are all rolling at this point, right?
well, I was outside the door, and I didn't really know what it was about until that day. They
Right.
didn't really even tell me at the first audition.
So what's the time frame between the time that you get the call saying, yeah, you're definitely doing this, and then the
about
time
5 days?
Okay. Were you real excited? You must have been like, yeah, this
Yeah,
is it.
I was really excited. I was really stoked. I was like, okay, this is cool. And the show had just started. It was like in the second season or something. So
How far back is this? How long ago time frame for us?
2009 or 10.
Okay.
So it started. And so bottom line is I'm at the door. There's the door. And there's the producer. Producer comes to me and says, okay, Evan, here's the deal. Kim has a compulsive behavior with shopping. And we want you to go ahead and do an intervention as you would with any other intervention. And just walk in there and do your thing. That was my instructions.
You pretty much had free reign.
I was standing at the door, and I was told what to do. And I'm like, okay. At that moment, truthfully, I felt like Alex Rodriguez. I felt like I'm going to knock this out of the park, and I'm going to do this with the most respect, most dignity. I'm going to do it proper, and I'm going to do it from the heart. I'll walk in the door. I believe it was Chloe meets me at the door.
We should show this.
I
Yeah.
believe Chloe meets me at the door. Chloe introduces me to Mom. This is my friend Evan. Nice to meet you guys. We have a seat. And I said, let's have a seat over here and let's start talking. Let's go find out what's going on. And the family started talking about how, we're starting to become a success as a family. And, Kim's starting to make some money. And we're really concerned. Bruce started speaking at that point as the father figure. We're really concerned because of how she's buying this, she's buying that. Looks like she just bought a Bentley. And, it's getting pretty out of control. So we then process through what our plan is. Kim shows up. She knocks on the door. And I don't believe she really knew what she was walking into. Now I'm sure it's a lot more scripted, a lot more like, I think it's a lot more like they know the whole. But she walks in, and she looked pretty stunned. She grabs a bowl of cereal.
Were you a little starstruck when she walked in? You're like, oh my God, that's really Kim Kardashian.
Not so much.
No?
No, only because I had met a lot of people that I can't discuss
Right.
prior to this and post this. So I really wasn't that, I was just in the zone. I was like, this could have been the Smith family, and they have a loved one who they're concerned about, and I was just going to go in there and do what I do. And so she pulls up a bowl of cereal. She starts eating her cereal, and she's looking at me like,
Who the hell are you?
well, no. She was looking at me like, you got to be kidding me. This is what we're going to talk about? And I go, yeah, this is what we're going to talk about because
Now,
your family's concerned about you.
Did she know at that point? Did they say this is our friend Evan, or he's here to do an intervention or anything like that?
Yeah, this is our friend Evan, and why don't you have a seat over here? And then I just went right into it. Family loves you very much. They're very concerned about you, and they want to take some time to go ahead and tell you their thoughts. And would it be okay with you if your sister Chloe shared her thoughts with you? Would it be okay if Bruce Bruce, why don't you go ahead and read your letter? He started talking about, we're really proud of you, you're doing great, but we're really concerned because you're expending a lot more money than you're making. And the father says, look, it's not going to last. Now, at that moment, the probability of them being this phenomenal, amazing success was low. The chances of a show, I mean, look, I'm not a Hollywood person, but I know that the chances of a show making it it's still on today. So I don't know. I think.
And now the Jenner girls have. I mean, they've knocked it right out of the park. It's unbelievable.
But the father was speaking from the heart. Basically, look, it's not going to last. He didn't know that it was going to last, but he was being from the heart. And fortunately for Kim and her spending, I guess, if it's still on, it doesn't make a difference anymore because she's so wealthy. Whatever. I mean, she's doing her thing, and but at that moment, there was a lot of concern in the family about her expenditures and how it may have manifested itself through some of her anxiety with dealing with fame and all the issues that she was dealing with at the time.
So how long did the whole process last?
I think I was there for maybe about 3 hours.
Okay, so I don't know what you can and cannot share because I know that you showed me the video and we'll put it up as part of the show. But so what was the ultimate conclusion? Because I mean, obviously, most times in an intervention, the person goes to some type of therapy.
Well, the ultimate conclusion, I think, for this particular family at that particular moment was that she recognized that her family loved her very much, was very concerned about her spending, and I think that there was more of a conscious observation of family spending in general. But I think that from Kim's perspective, it was more of like, well, that was nice. And I was okay with that because I really felt at that moment it really brought the family together. And I think that was the best part of the experience, that the family came together and unified, maybe for the first time like this. Now, subsequently, there's been other interventions and other issues with Rob and with Scott,
right,
the husband, and all that stuff. But even with Kanye and everybody else like that. But I think it was good to kind of set the foundation for the family on how they could come together. And I think ultimately that was the biggest part of what I did with them at that time.
Was she nice, Kim?
Kim was... she was cordial. She was. I mean, it wasn't that she wasn't nice. She was more cordial. She wasn't like because she also was not included. Usually, when I'm conducting an intervention, usually the person that I'm having the intervention with, they're not like nice to me. They're not liking me. They're like, okay, dude, I get it. You're here. You got to function. Do your function. Whatever. You're probably a good guy, but I don't really care and all that other stuff. So she was like just eating her cereal and just doing her thing, and I was like cool with that. So, but she was cordial. The family was very, very nice, very open. I remember seeing the twins when they they must have been about at that time
the Jenner girls, right?
Yeah, 9. Maybe they were 9. They were over there playing.
No,
in the
one
corner.
of them's a billionaire. I think at least one of them.
Yeah, she's a billionaire. That's cool. Hey, that's wonderful.
Hey,
more power to her. But I definitely saw while I was there. I definitely saw a very strong family dynamic, and I believe that I helped just be a little cog, a little part of the foundation of, at least from a therapeutic standpoint, of them kind of coming together to address family issues. That was the first time that they had come together like that with a counselor to address an issue within the family. From that perspective. So I felt very good about that from that perspective.
So did the TV cameras basically record the entire thing?
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting anytime I've ever done like TV, I've been on TV, or when I was prosecutor, if the TV cameras were in the courtroom, we were doing it. You do your thing, but you're always you can always almost peripherally see and feel and sense the camera there. Did you feel like that, or did you sort of zone out and you're like, no, just like I'm in my own world?
Just like right here, right now. I know we've got the camera there, we've got
Jay, the producer.
Right. And, but you know what? I look at it this way. Like, I feel as though someone is going to connect with this. I mean, granted, there's going to be, I can look at myself from above and go, Is my stomach sticking out? Is my hair right?
I'm glad I'm not the only one who looks at the video and says,
Right.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
I know all that stuff.
Jay, can't you Photoshop more of this stuff?
Right, but when it comes to being an interventionist and working with crisis situations, I would be considered like a therapeutic beast in a very loving, supportive, strategically understanding way, almost like a therapeutic commando where I really don't care. Even though I may look at it later on and go, gosh, maybe I should have kept that tie on. Or why didn't I change my angle? Whatever.
I shift all over the place.
Right. But I will say, why did I have my hands clenched like this the whole time? Why wasn't I more expressive? But all I know is that for some reason, my calling has evolved into walking into situations where families are feeling beaten down, where they feel as though there's no hope, where they have been told by the courts, where they've been told by law enforcement, where they've been told by other individuals that they need to sit and wait for something horrible to happen before they can take action. And somehow, some way, I've evolved into this person, this counselor, who is able to tell a family, look, let's fight, let's keep going, let's not give up. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to keep fighting until we do everything within our power to see that your loved one has been given the best chances, the best opportunity, the highest prognosis of being able to get well. I don't create false promises. I don't say to somebody that for sure your son or daughter is going to get better. I just let them know that if there are whatever options are out there, we're going to work together to find them. That when the system says no, we're going to keep pushing and fighting until we have the final definitive answer. But we're not just going to take no right off the bat. We have to wait around for your loved one to be on death's door or have to be serving time in a federal penitentiary for interstate drug distribution, or they have had to pull out a knife and do something horrible as a means by which to finally get help. Or they're going to wake up one day and go, you know what, Mom? Yeah, I need to go get some help. It may never happen. So for that reason, I'm good with this.
I love it. I really do. And you know what's interesting, when we talk about the Kardashians, and I know you've done a lot of stuff with some of the sort of Hollywood folks, but the people that that we've worked with and the cases we've worked, I mean, these are these are ordinary mums and dads who have called us for help, and we're like, listen, we can help you, but there's a piece that we want you to look at because we think it could really help, and that's when we send them to you. So for the folks who are going to watch this, I mean, Evan works with ordinary families every single day and really works miracles.
Most of the families I'm working with are hardworking families. It's most of the time, it's not like some power broker in Silicon Valley or some Academy Award winner or whatever. Most of the time, it's a hardworking family that has worked very, very hard and tried to provide, and more than likely has tried, and they're finding themselves after years of trying to work through this and get their loved one the help that they need. Sometimes they feel like the situation is worse than they first started. But you're right. Those Hollywood or power broker situations are not the bulk of the work. They're there, and they're cool. But at the end of the day, that's not the majority of my cases.
Okay. So for the families that are watching, how'd they get a hold of you? How'd they find you?
Yeah. So a couple of simple concepts here. One, I love when the families that are trying to reach me connect with their attorneys. So one way I'm sure is they can connect directly with you, and I like that a lot. But if they want to connect directly with me, sure, they can just call me directly. I have a simple phone number, which has become the number it's out there. It's 305-467-8666. That's my hotline, 24/7, and it goes right to my phone here. They can also go to my website, which is careplanpro.com, careplanpro.com. And the reason that I took on that name, I don't know if it's the most marketable name. I don't know. All I know is that I felt that it wasn't about conducting an intervention. That's the whole deal. I felt it was really more about my line of work is really helping to create a solid plan of action and a caring plan of action. Because the intervention is not a punitive situation. It's a loving, caring, but solid foundation, firm backbone situation, and that's the reason why it's careplanpro.com. That's how you can reach me.
I love it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed another edition of The Journey. Have we changed the name yet, Jay? From addiction to recovery? I like that. Okay, so The Journey from addiction to recovery. You can find us online, drugandaLcoholattorneys.com. You can email me, mark@drugandaLcoholattorneys.com. And a bit like Kevin, I guess I never get that much sleep either. You can ring us 24/7 too. If only just to get a hold of you and your 24/7 schedule.
Yep.
561-419-6095. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us. It's only Monday. I'm tongue tied already. Subscribe to us on YouTube and on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other profiles we're on. And until next week, thanks for tuning in.